thank you, everybody, and we'd like to welcome you to this month's version of Top Voices, which is our Global Insights Exchange. And we're very fortunate with the individuals that come onto our podcast as our guest. And today, extremely interesting guest, it's Mr. Lorcan Malone, who is the new-ish CEO of XTM. So we're really looking forward to hearing about your professional journey and your business journey and whatever it is, you want to talk to you about. And then in addition to that, as usual, we have the lovely Mr. Bruno Herman. Bruno is a leading expert globally in matters AI and lots of other operational issues in that world. In addition to that, International Achievers Group, which is a company that I own and run. We work with Bruno. Bruno is our strategic advisor to us and also is our head of global marketing. As I mentioned, I own and run International Achievers, and we're a staffing solutions partner globally. Would you be comfortable to share with us about your professional journey to date and how you've ended up, how you got to the point where you are now? You're the CEO of XTM.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Paula. Professional journey. So the grey hair top it tells the story. So professional journey started early 90s in Dublin. At the time, the tech industry was only really starting in Dublin. And I joined a company called EDS, which was Electronic Data Systems, that had set up an offshore centre in Dublin for engineering. I was an engineer, I was a computer science graduate. And at that time, Dublin was half the price of Holland, Belgium, Germany, and companies were moving engineering work to Dublin. So that's where it started and went on from there to go and moved with them in 99 to Bahrain to do a project with Betelco that they had won, and then moved to San Francisco for the dot-com boom and worked over there in a tech job for a large American company called APL, a huge shipping company. Yeah. And that was a great time to be in San Francisco. The place was on fire. It was top of the first wave of tech bubble, I suppose, and went from there, went back to EDS, then to Dubai to run the Dubai e-government project, which EDS had won, and set up a office there and took on a more commercial role, and eventually ended up running EDS in the Middle East. And we'd offices in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, big operations in Bahrain and Qatar and Egypt, and lived in the Middle East and loved it till about 2007, 2008, and moved back to Ireland. I know it's a long story, it's a lot of years. Moved back to Ireland, joined Sage, which is where I moved from services, EDS was all services, into products, and ran their CRM division. And had an opportunity then to move to Arizona to run a couple of CRM products that Sage sold, called Sales Logics and Act. And lived in Arizona till about 2017, 2018, and then moved back to Ireland and became COO of BoxEver. And BoxEver was bought by Sitecore, so I joined Sitecore for a few years, and then joined XTM. It's a long journey in October, so I'm 4 months in. Yeah.
She sounds quite glamorous, that career trajectory. Was it as glamorous as it sounds?
It was great fun.
Yeah,
it was great fun. It was challenging. You got lobbed into places where, it was sink or swim. But myself and my wife, we always enjoyed traveling. We get out there and see the world and grab an opportunity when it's in front of you. Yeah.
How are you finding the business world back in Ireland at the moment?
Ireland has just boomed, particularly in the tech sector. When I came back to BoxEver, the quality of resources available in Ireland now is fantastic, because I think we've got 20 years of working with these big multinational tech companies. So there's any big role that you're looking for, the talent is in Dublin. 20 years ago it wasn't, but it is today. I think the challenge that everybody knows in Ireland is just, can we accommodate the growth in terms of places for people to live and infrastructure. I think there's a willingness from international companies to expand here. It's whether we can absorb the expansion.
Yeah, I agree. My husband works for a housing association.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that organisation's focus is not necessarily on the same type of individuals that are coming to work for XTM, but across the board there's a massive housing problem in this world, and there's all sorts of scandalous stories about what's happening when people, once a house goes up for sale or...
Oh, it's incredible.
It is incredible. I'd hate to be 25 or 30 years old trying to elbow my way into a home.
Yeah, we've had people join us over the last few years, and so many people moving into Dublin from cities all over the world, but the only place they can find to live is an Airbnb. For 3-4 months while they're looking for somewhere
at very high prices.
Yeah.
Anyhow, tell us about life at XTM for the short time that you're there. Tell us about XTM.
Well, XTM has been a whirlwind. When you join a company, and I've done this throughout my whole career, is you want to get immersed in it, and you have to, because you need to understand the details. And that's a mixture of customers, partners, and people. So since joining, I've been on the road, I think, non-stop. But I think that was important, going to our various offices in Greece and Poland and the UK and Canada. And I'm doing that for the second time now, but also meeting a lot of customers. So I think this week alone I've met 5 customers, 3 or 4 of them in person and the others online.
Okay.
And I'm trying to do that every week and talk to partners as well. And I think that's the only way, if you're going to legitimately run a business properly, is you need to understand it top to bottom, and you need to understand the value we bring. So that's what it's been. It's been non-stop, actually.
Yeah, there's so many magic words you've said in there that are making both our ears pop up. But in relation to the value creation, but we'll come back to that one. I suppose it's... actually, no, let's talk about value creation. So...
Yeah, and these years, more than probably 10 years ago, is a very exciting time and challenging time, not just exciting, for the language industry and specifically for the language technology industry. So it's all about creating value or adding value for customers, considering what they need to do in their organizations, their operating models, how they deliver products and content. So what is your main take about, taking up this challenge of creating value with customers, considering that all these customers, they have different models of operations, they have different industries, behind them. They have also different business objectives. It's not just about AI, it's about technology in general. And one point I would like to hear from you specifically, because I know XTM is a pioneer in this field, which is the creation of value within the framework of ecosystems. Because every company has an ecosystem. Startups, they have a very small ecosystems. Multinationals, they have a very complex ecosystem. So how do you see this mix of challenges and excitement?
Yeah, so I suppose value for different companies or customers means different things.
Exactly.
So for some of our customers, cost and productivity, and I think productivity more than cost, but for others, and we do a lot in the regulated industry space, it's control and governance and traceability and all of those good things. And it's a combination of both. For others, really is time to market, particularly for the software industry. And embedding in the ecosystem has always been the philosophy of XTM. Right from day one, it's built into the product, it's built into the philosophy of how the company operates. And I don't see that changing. But I think the industry is also changing. We would describe it as a type of shift left on some of the we need to embed really right at the start of things like content operations and product development on the software side, that the finish it and move it to the localization department is changing fundamentally, and it's type of finish it and have it localized in a seamless, transparent way, and almost like the localization department and the technology behind it is hidden from the the ultimate type of consumers of that service, which are product developers, marketers, you know, whether they're content teams, documentation teams. So our value, I think our traditional value creation still stands up, but we now need to deliver it in a different way because the way people work is changing.
Yeah, that's very relevant. I think these years because it's not going to stop. As you said, you know, the sort of evolution of technology is going to go faster and faster. And you're right, XTM has been a pioneer in this approach of considering, you know, multilingual content within the framework of content operations or product management, which has not been the case of many companies, because I was on the client side at that time, and I remember, you know, when I had conversations with Andres Gidron, one of the founders of XTM, he was already talking about ecosystems. Me, I was talking about ecosystems too, but sometimes we were just two in a room to talk about ecosystems. So I think that the other challenge for XTM is also that, of course, technology has to cover content operations, and XTM has invested a lot these years in expanding the original XTM to more facets of content management. But you need people as well. You said that you had offices in Poland, in Greece, and other places. How do you manage this challenge of not just investing in technology to actually meet customer requirements, but also to have the right people you need in XTM to make it happen?
Yeah, and it's all about people.
Yeah.
I think, you know, right through my career, if you have the right people in the right seats, which is
That's
some
what
of
we do.
your business,
That's right.
it just makes a world of difference. And work has changed in that, you know, there's a lot more people doing hybrid work, particularly after COVID. We try to bring people to you need people in a room. So actually what we did in December was we brought 300 people together in Poznan in a one XTM day, and we thought that was important because we had bought 3 products last year, and it was important people sat in a room together and got to know their colleagues.
Okay.
But even last week I was in Athens, and we brought all of the engineering leads together to sit in a room, and we got more done in 2 or 3 days than we would have had in weeks of Teams calls. So I think people still get work done, even with all of the new tools out there. And we have all of the AI coding tools and all of the collaboration tools. You can't beat putting people in a room together.
Yeah.
Is this a cultural shift for XTM? And is that being...
Yeah.
How are you going to go about that?
There is. And some of that is because we've acquired companies with various cultures.
Yeah.
So we did a bit of a reset in November to define what we want the go forward culture to be. Because, you know, everybody's got their values, and we reset our values and we promoted those in our one XTM day, but we also tried to live them.
Yeah.
But culture is so hard to create. It's very easy to
talk about.
dismantle it and talk about it.
I know.
But it's hard to create, and I think you only create it through type of behaviors and type of setting out the values you want to live, and exhibiting those. And we've got some great people. It's like super people. We got pioneers across the industry. I was saying to Bruno before we started, I had lunch with Andres a few weeks ago, and with Bob, who were the original founders. Like they were pioneers and visionaries, particularly Andres.
Oh yeah.
And that permeates the business, and there's people in XTM that formed a company with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, you mentioned, I think the key word is pioneer, because I remember back in those days when XTM was, you know, a disruptor in the language industry. Obviously, it was all about being a pioneer in technology.
Yeah.
But also, for me, it was equally important because I had so many discussions with XTM regarding how to deliver, how to create value from a client perspective. They were also pioneers in the way they were selling in the broad sense, not just commercially, but they were selling or they were positioning language technology from a customer-centric perspective, and not just as another tool. So, in other words, I remember so many discussions that XTM was not there to add one more tool in a series of other tools that my companies had already, but it was actually to sort of connect dots, the people, the processes, and the tech itself, but to create something more consistent and more productive. I think you used the word. So I think being a pioneer is equally important in tech, but also in the way you use that tech, in the way you position that tech. And again, it's not just commercial, but it's also operational.
It's identifying the value of being embedded.
Because
exactly.
There's value in being
there are so
embedded.
many companies that have great technology, but they cannot sort of get the message across because they are not embracing the way customers are really working and how those customers could actually use the technology.
Yeah, and if you look at and Andre's philosophy is still there today. XTM is the umbrella. It is
exactly.
It is there to take you end to end, but we absolutely promote the ability to plug in your other solutions, and that's built into the whole product. So you get the type of orchestration and governance and control from the platform.
Yep.
But we don't lock you out from bringing other technology and plugging it in, and that's worked really well.
Yeah.
And that's what he started, and it still is the philosophy that we follow through on.
And there's still an appetite for it and a market for it.
There is, and actually even more so now, because I think you've the ability to plug in any MT engine. We always had that anyway, but now we have the ability to plug in whatever LLM you want to bring. Because I think when you serve enterprise clients, you can't impose your architecture. You need to embrace what they want to do.
That's it.
And that's worked well for us.
Yeah. Where is your engineering innovation coming from? Which part of the world?
Actually, different centres. Actually, so Poznan has always been the centre of XTM. And we've an office in Krakow as well. But Poznan is our biggest engineering centre. Some amazing guys there. We built out a lot on AI agentic stuff there. Very pioneering. We bought Transifex in Athens, and they had some fantastic core AI capability around AI translation and quality scoring and thing. And we took that Transifex technology and we put it inside XTM. So we continue to build that in Athens. So we have Athens there and Poznan. And then the Flowfit guys in Montreal, Martin Cote is our engineering lead. They've built such a nice product. Like the usability is fantastic. Customers love it. And Martin and his team really built that out.
That's great. Yeah. So you're actually covered. It's quite a decent spread.
Yeah, well, you need. I think the waterfall engineering days are over and gone.
Yeah.
That's what I type of grew up with. You need, and the idea of just engineers waiting for product to tell them what to build is also over. I think engineers have to be knee deep in building great product. So they have to co-own it, and we have some great people at that.
It's one of the questions that we asked in the last discussion with Veronique around sort of customer centric, and nowadays businesses that are not customer centric, I don't know how they're surviving. So on the basis that we're all aiming to be customer centric, how much of it is where you're being led by the customer, and how much of it is that you're leading the customer?
Yeah, it's a combination actually. Some of the best localization people in the world are our customers. So we need to listen to them.
Very true.
And we have
very true.
Yeah, no, we're assembling a customer advisory board of them, but they really know the industry. So if we're not listening to them, it's at our peril. And literally an hour before this call, I was on a call with the CEO for one of our biggest customers, and one of the big features we're delivering this year is based on what they want. It'll suit every customer. So that on that side, we have to listen to our customers. On the other side, I think we have to bring in innovation to them, particularly around the AI side. So I think what we're doing on our quality scoring and the type of post-editing side of things is quite innovative. I know there's others doing it as well, but we can't sit back and wait for customers to tell us what they want there, because they're not sure. And I think we have to bring something to them.
Yeah. It can be quite a challenging balance to get between we need to tell them how this works, but still not presenting it as let me just reorganize your whole organization around me telling you how this works. It's quite a difficult balance.
There's use cases emerging now. You've had your traditional analyze it, segment it, translate it, quality score it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
The use case around the just good enough a localization is definitely, we're seeing that even in some of our regulated customers for content that doesn't have to be checked to the nth degree, and the ability to pump that through on a very simple path, and obviously use your TM and use your terminology, etc., but get it done quickly. And we're building all of that in a design partnership with one of our really big customers as well. So I like doing design partnerships where we can, and then iterating through it. Yeah.
Okay. No, absolutely. And just to circle back on something you mentioned before, I think that XTM is definitely an umbrella. Is playing this role of an umbrella, which is from a buyer perspective, from a client perspective, which is really important, because a number of decision makers, and I include myself in that during my client days, are people who have a role that is bigger than just translation localization. There are marketing directors, there are product leaders, whatever. The title is usually reflecting something bigger than just, I use just very carefully, than just translation localization. So multilingual content is coming into play in something bigger that is called indeed content management or product management. Yep. So from that perspective, having a partner like XTM makes even more sense, because there is an umbrella that is covering the range of activities from creation to delivery, which those people are very sensitive about. And the other thing, which is that during the acquisitions that you made recently and less recently, I think that XTM has always, and of course Andres was behind that, XTM had always this approach of saying, yes, we need to walk in the shoes of customers, because those customers are indeed, they are talking to XTM, not just from a translation localization perspective, which is already important, but from a bigger picture perspective, where, each step of the supply chain, the content supply chain, has to be equally well managed.
Yeah, and I think that's key. Like if you're in marketing and you're doing content operations for marketing, ultimately you care about the brand.
Exactly.
And you have to get localization and translation done, but nobody is going to blame the LLM for a poor translation. You're going to get blamed for damaging the brand, and that sort of governance and control. And the last time we talked about the human in the loop. The human is the ultimate arbitrator before something goes out the door. And I think that's the way we position XTM is, yes, bring all of these new technologies to bear, and there's some fantastic stuff out there. But ultimately what goes out the door has your brand name on it. And if you're the marketing lead, it has your name on it, and you need control of that. Yeah.
No, exactly. And the other thing, which is, I think, important from a customer perspective, is also something that you said about, the actual reality of ecosystems. Today, with AI, generative AI specifically, you need to shape operations, and you need to shape your ecosystem to be able to infuse AI properly, because it's not just always a matter of plugging it, because AI sometimes creates a lot of value, sometimes not so much value. So you have to really infuse it. I keep using that image of a tea bag. Just like when you use your tea bag, you want it light, you take it after 10 seconds, you want it strong, you leave it 2 minutes. So that's what I see with my clients now. It's like, they want AI, they need AI, but at different levels, light, medium, or heavy, depending on the value that is really created. Not just for the excitement of AI, just to say, oh well, we have generative AI, we work with ChatGPT. That's just personal pride or oversized pride, probably. But the reality of ecosystems is that sometimes, when it comes to content creation or when it comes to content translation, you can have different types of magnitude of value created. And I think that this is also why it's so important to consider the ecosystem and look at the components of the ecosystem, because you have a CMS, you have a learning management system, you have different designed tools, but you have to look at the whole picture, and then XTM can sort of, bring the value not just in one area, but in the whole ecosystem end to end.
Yeah, and I might borrow your teabag analogy. It's really good.
Yeah,
actually.
it is good. Yeah, no, we
That's the best way I've found.
It's really good. And I think when we talk about that to customers, it's about different paths. So not every word is equal, is what we say. So there's 3 or 4 different paths now emerging with different levels of teabag dipping with them. But what's absolutely true is like AI is just going mainstream and it's been just operationalized and it's just going to become part of your everyday. And it does offer huge opportunities as well. Everybody talks about the proliferation of content. You're going to see that. But like the transcreation side of it, your ability to maybe produce multiple variants of a translation, because you can produce a lot more content now for different segments, particularly if you're coming from a marketing point of view. So the workflows are going to become more sophisticated, but we even see AI controlling some of that at the front door, the type of agentic side, deciding, okay, Bruno, you wanted to send this content for these languages. It's this type of content. We're going to orchestrate that for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just a matter of operational effectiveness, but it's also a matter of financial discipline in a way, because you need to invest where it matters. And AI is expensive. I think, I read several articles talking about AI, the beauty of AI, but very few articles are talking about the total cost of ownership of AI, which starts with data and with that ends with the output of generative AI. And I think that, it's when I say financial discipline, it means that, of course, when there is a big investment to be made, let's do it. But of course, if it's just for the hype of it, if it's just to tell, the community, oh yeah, you know what, we work with Claude and we implemented Claude. Oh, great. But okay, what's next? So what comes next? That's the key point. And I think that to your point, the sort of the umbrella. I like this image from umbrella. The umbrella that a company like XTM brings is, of course, operationally effective, but also, I would say, financially and humanly effective. Because at the end, this is just giving the customer, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of customers, saying, what is the total cost of ownership of XTM? Because there is the cost of XTM, there is a cost of maintenance, consulting. So many companies are now looking for the TCO, which is very familiar in the tech industry, where I'm coming from too. So, TCO has always been on my table, not just the cost, but the total cost. And do you see in your conversation with clients or with the language industry, do you see some discrepancy between what people think about the cost and the real total cost of ownership?
Yeah, there's a few things happening. There's such a need now to adopt AI. If in any walk in any part of a business, from a board down, they're like, give us evidence of where you've adopted AI. So I think localization lends itself very well to it. It's adopted it for years in the MT area. But so there's a bit right now, I think, of we'll just take it. We're just going to use it. We want to plug into ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever, because we need to be using it. I think there's another wave coming of the efficiency side of it. I don't think that's landed yet. I think right now there's still very much, we need to plug this in and we need to be using it.
In fact, there's a little bit of rowback.
There is.
That will come. And then now we're rowback.
I think it'll come in 2 places. There's content now that will bypassing all of your technologies and just lob it at AI and get out what you can. I think there's going to be a control bit going, well, we need to have some sort of guards around this. But then from a cost point of view, your AI tokens are not cheap. And if you go through something like an XTM, a TMS, like about 30% plus of the content is already in your translation memory. So you translate it there, it saves you on the AI costs. So you've got a consistency, but also a saving.
Yep.
And that will come. But right now, I think people are just turn the thing on. We need to be using AI.
Yeah. I'm thinking of all the investors
Yeah.
who are, one or two steps removed from the reality of it. They just want to quantify the savings. They sit at board meetings and they want to quantify.
And
What are the savings? No, I want the numbers. What are the numbers? What are the numbers?
yeah, and there is real savings. Like there is real type of
can be,
post-editing savings. There's no doubt about it. But I think it will come around to what are you spending on your tokens, your AI tokens.
Yeah, and as you said before, value means different things to different people. And of course, I can take the example of the life science industry where I spend 90% of my time now. Value is coming, for instance, a lot from compliance. Yeah. And you might say, okay, why compliance? Compliance is a concept, it's a requirement, yes. But if there is no compliance, there is automatically money to be wasted. Or to me, penalties are, as you know, they are huge in the life science industry.
Yeah.
So I think that this is another way to look at, what I call content management solutions from that perspective too, and say, yes, maybe that solution can help us go faster and cheaper, but due to our industry, regulated industries, they have other requirements than just speed and quality. There is a requirement called compliance and regulation, and you have to make sure that your solution covers that part of that as well, so that you don't get stuck in only, if I may say so, only in cost and speed. That it's also the other types of value that you need to capture and measure.
Yeah, like, and you know that industry much better than I do, but like, the cost of compliance makes the cost of localization seem tiny.
Yes,
it is
exactly.
It is an order of magnitude more important to get it right for a regulated industry because the risk is just too great. Yes, you can make it more efficient, but you're not going to lower the bar on compliance, I think. Yeah.
I was just thinking about, where the growth opportunities might lie for XTM. Do you know yet? Have you had time to?
Yeah, I think there's a huge amount of opportunity, probably seen in a few places. We've got some emerging solutions that make sense for a lot of our clients in things like we bought a product called Riggy.
Yep.
We bought another one, a video creation cloud. So we see a lot of growth coming from the ability to offer more value to our customers. I think as well as that, we're at an inflection point. AI is a big opportunity for us. I think companies will adopt it, but will come to the realization they need the umbrella and they need to put control and guardrails on it. And I think a TMS is made for that.
Okay.
And we can see that emerging, as well as just AI itself. We, like everybody else, we have our AI solutions. We're very happy to sell our customers. So there is an inflection point. There's both threats and opportunities from it. Our intention is to try to grab the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back to one of your questions, Paula, regarding talent, where talent is for XTM geographically. I have another question from a more operational perspective. Of course, you got a lot of talent coming from your acquisitions at XTM. So that's great, because then you get it automatically, so to speak. But how do you approach talent acquisition and retention when you need talent that is not coming from your different acquisitions that may be related to AI or even, outside AI, because then you need sometimes the right mix of, for instance, experience in data management, but also experience in a certain industry, like the legal industry, if you want to sell to the legal industry. How do you manage this very tricky challenge of capturing talent? Do you focus on, young graduates, or do you focus more on very experienced people, or is it a mix?
It's a mix, actually. I think in the engineering side, it's always great to bring in graduates. I think particularly the team we have in Montreal are fantastic at taking in young graduates and interns and developing them. There's certain times where you need to just plug a gap.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
And when you need to do that, I think you go out and look for specific talent with that with that profile that you have. It's always good to have referrals from internally. It's, and it's always nice to hire in known quantity, but otherwise we work with people like Paula and others, and to fill gaps in the organization.
Yeah, and I think it's most of all because I've been a hiring manager for 20 years. And there is another challenge that all hiring managers know about, which is not just the talent that you need to find, but the volume of talent that is coming to you, and you have to make the right choice. Because I remember one day I was discussing a client of Paula having received 5,000 applications for just one job.
That was actually us. So we were obviously
no, that's what I mean.
Recruiting for a client, and
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Post a position, and we had, now even I was surprised because truthfully I'm not recruiting anymore on a day-to-day basis. Thankfully I have a team who are better at it than I am at this stage, and I was we're trying, honestly this conversation ended up coming out of a discussion around marketing, and we're promoting our own messaging. And I was talking to one of the key account managers, and she said to me, with her team, she had to go through 5,000 applications. 5,000. And I went, how the heck did you go through 5,000 applications? Now, we obviously have AI. We have to have AI, and then we have all these different products that we subscribe to, and they have all this embedded AI, which helps us.
Yeah, well, I think it's an experience that everyone, or at least many people, recruiting globally have, because I remember when I built my team at IQVIA, every Friday I was receiving all the applications from HR that were filtered. So it was already the first filter was HR, and I was opening Workday, and I saw hundreds filtered applications to go through during the weekend. So I had to do that during the weekend because I had no more time on Friday. And I realized, wow, talent is not just difficult to find, but it's difficult to filter.
It really is, yeah. And now with AI, you've got AI agents applying for jobs on behalf of individuals.
That's exactly it.
And then you have AI agents filtering it out.
That's right.
So it's my AI talking to your AI.
I know.
But even with automation, it's because in my days, automation was already there, but automation can indeed help a lot, but to a certain extent, you still, and that with your team, Paula, that the human edge is still there.
And the other thing as well that we have to be careful now, well, not nowadays, there's always been a version of this has been a problem, but it's in higher volume now and probably easier to do nowadays, is verifying the person is who they say they are, coupled with they're coming from a country that they say that they're coming from, and they're actually living in a country where they say they're living in. And we had quite a scary situation. It wasn't scary, but it was a situation where without the human intervention, this would have been a nightmare. We had somebody based in North Korea, in effect, trying to access the US, some part of the US government, because one of our clients had the contract with the US government. And I would say, oh my Lord, but that's actually quite easy to do nowadays. And I'm not an engineer. I mean, even I can work, can identify that's not that difficult to do. So without the human sort of going, right, this actually doesn't quite stack up. There's lots of tick boxes here that this applicant is passing, but there's something. The smell is not right. The look is not right.
And then how do you find, the challenge is finding good talent in that sea of 5,000 applications? It's
but that's actually what we do all day. Largely, thank goodness, we get it right. And so do most recruiters, largely get it right, or you just don't stay in business. And what really helps is understanding what works for you doesn't work for you. And if we haven't picked up the fact that what works for you doesn't work for you, our relationship is very short. So
walking in the shoes of the customer.
It is walking in the shoes, and it's also
Paula walks in your shoes, but she doesn't work in my shoes just because our shoes are different. And I think that's based on my experience as a hiring manager, I was working with HR for all my recruitments, and of course they did a great job, but of course the final word had to be on my side, and I was saying, okay, I still have 600 CVs to look for. Of course, I was using automation to filter, but still at the end, you're right. There are a number of pitfalls, like the location, like the real level of experience, because some people tend to put a lot of years that they never went through. So that's it seems for some people who never recruited think that it's easy, it's straightforward, but it's not.
No, not at all. But I also do think most of us are guilty of underestimating other people's professions. So my background, I was going to be a partner in a firm of accountants. So I come from that background. So as a result, in order to survive that, I actually had to today go into your company and understand what you did and what your margins were and how did it work and what's your culture. And then I had to go into Bruno's company tomorrow. So as a result of that, I learned from a very, very young age how to quickly learn the key metrics around your business and your business. And as a result of that, the people we hire have to be able to do that too. That's what you do, And do we get it right all the time? No, but we get it right most of the time.
Yeah, but it's so hard to get right.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is.
Over a series of meetings.
And the other thing as well is sometimes organisations hire people that are right for 12 months. And they're not right for the next iteration of it. And that period of time is actually becoming shorter and shorter. It used to be, somebody would, and it wasn't ever, sometimes you call it a 36-month contract because there's in effect a project that needs to be set up, tested, test the market and run. That 36 months now, oh my goodness, it's not even 12 months most of the time. But organisations have to understand that this position is needed for 12 months.
Yeah, and you have very different roles. The project guy, the change agent, guy or girl, is very different to the person that runs it on an operational basis.
Absolutely.
And quite often, they don't want to do it. The great project people, to recognise that, and they want to do they want to get in, they want to make all the changes, and they want to get out and go do something else.
No, it's and still on the human edge within XTM. You mentioned, of course, your engineering resources, but you also need other types of resources. I mean, we had a great example with David Webb. I think very experienced sales person and very customer-centric account director.
He's good at what he does.
Definitely. Well, I've known David for so many years. But, when it comes to those very, very niche positions, I've talking to a number of other companies and they say, we keep those vacancies on a website for days and weeks because we cannot find those people. And is it something that, in addition to your engineering resources, when it comes, for instance, to very niche AI jobs, is it something that you also struggle with to find the right people? Do you need weeks instead of days to recruit? Or
I think AI, interesting you mentioned David, he's a super guy.
Yes,
apart from being a Man United fan, he's great. But AI, I think you have to hire a certain type of person for AI because AI is relatively new. So you're not going to find this amazing expert. Yes, there are some people with more experience. You're looking for the person that is curious enough to go out and learn this technology and stay with it. And actually, they're often in your organization. Some of the best people we have on AI just stepped up and delivered some amazing stuff. Like the Polish guys who built the agentic stuff we have just went and understood the technology and figured out what to do. So I think if you're waiting for an army of AI guys to be hired, you're going to fail. You're hiring for a certain type of individual that will absolutely dive into that technology and understand it and run with it.
Do you remember we had this conversation, Bruno? I can't remember whether it was at the last podcast recording or whether you and I were somewhere at a conference. I can't remember, but it's fairly recently. And the conversation was around so 24 months ago or 30 months ago. The whole thing, oh my goodness, everybody's going to AI is coming fast and furiously. And as it turns out, so of course, me as the owner of a recruiting agency, quick look, okay, what are my staff? What can my staff understand what this all means? Can I understand what this all means? And then the expectation was that, oh my goodness, right, so all the job specs that are going to come in now are going to be AI.
Yep.
That isn't the case.
No.
So on the day we had that conversation, I just said to Bruno, here, look, so I opened up our CRM and look at the jobs that we're currently working on for clients. And it was something that was 30% of them on that day. Now, I know that'll vary from day to day or week to week, but it hasn't come in like a storm from the recruiting perspective. It probably has come in like a storm for particularly a number of the multinationals who actually got rid of their staff very quickly. But on the recruiting side of it, it hasn't come in like a storm, which gives people, as it turns out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, my usual advice, if I can give an advice to my clients recruiting for these type of positions, is go back to the roots of what AI is. If you have to define AI in another way, you would call it data-driven automation. That is what it's all about. So you have data automation as keywords, and if you find people who have experience in one of these areas or both areas, then you have a chance to get the right people you need for AI. Because AI is a term that is now, as you said before, Lorcan, that has, so it's used every day by everyone nearly. I mean, in the business, not outside the business. But when, people use AI sometimes without even quite being able to define it. And I said, how do you explain what AI is to your grandmother? Well, as an example. And you have to find simple words, and then you go back to the roots of what AI is, and it's all about automation being boosted by data. And you need both. Data without automation is dead, and automation without data is dead too. So is it something that you pay attention also, not just in recruitment, in general resource management in XTM, to be able, again, to cover the umbrella that you mentioned before, so that people can actually interact with clients, with a client being in pharmaceutical industry or a client being in the finance industry?
We tend to interact with customers across multiple industries without necessarily being experts in those industries. We have people who we try to group accounts and with people in the same industry so they can talk that sort of language. And we expect them to understand where the tooling in that industry is going from an AI point of view, so you can be up to date in your knowledge. I think for every single role right now, whether you're in sales, marketing, engineering, it's imperative that you understand the AI landscape of the area you're in and be curious about it. I think you're not going to turn up for a job interview now, and I'd say take marketing, for example, without getting a question about AI tooling you've used, your opinion on where it's going. And you said the exact same about engineering and the exact same even finance. It's everywhere now.
True.
And nobody's going to show up to put you on a training course for it. You need to go and learn it yourself.
Being curious.
Yeah, being curious. Curiosity is hugely important, I think, now.
Yeah, that's a word I hear all the time. I mean, curiosity, my curiosity. Because obviously I'm working quite a lot with Asia. I wanted to get your not your prediction, because it's difficult, but your sort of perspective on the future for XTM in Asia specifically, because it's a high growth region. That's the region of the world where the economy is still growing quite fast. So, because of course you mentioned Europe, North America, is there also some sort of focus or priority to grow also in the Asia Pac region?
It's a really good question. I would love to. I've done a lot in Asia down through the years. We actually signed a super deal in Japan in December with our partner. We have a partner in Japan called Hanyuku. They're expanding there. The guys were at TechCom there recently, and we're sending some people out to them over the next couple of weeks to go. And we've got a good few customers in Japan, so we've got a foothold there. We don't have a huge business in the rest of Asia, but there's definitely opportunity. And then the Middle East, and because I know the Middle East well, we got some customers there. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the Middle East. They are technology buyers. They have the Arabic English.
Yes.
Need extensively. and I'd love to get a foothold there. The way we will expand into those markets is with partners. Like we definitely will have some salespeople on the ground, but I think you have to go into, just like in Japan, in the Middle East, with a really great partner, and others. In various companies I've worked with, we've had great partners in Singapore and Thailand and other markets.
Exactly. Well, I think it's spot on because local partners are not just mandatory in China, but I think in every Asian country, specifically the high growth market like Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam. You save a lot of time with partners because they know already the market and they know what is difficult, what is easy, so they can really you can really use your partner as a compass to actually grow in those markets which are big. I mean, if I take the example of Indonesia is more than 300 million people. So it's because many people think that local partners are only relevant for China just because it's mandatory to go through a partner. But I think what you mentioned for Japan is exactly right. In my humble opinion, that's the best way because the Japanese market is specific. It cannot be compared to European markets in any way. It's so different.
And I'm a huge believer in a partner ecosystem. So you want a partner that will represent your brand well, has a good services arm. So it's not just about signing the deal, it's the ability to implement it, the ability to support the customer. But I think, particularly in Asia, that is the norm. And we've a couple of a partner executives hired now that are out looking for more partners. Aoife, who you know well, she's on the LSP side, and then we have another lady called Lorna. She's looking at the type of non-LSP partners. So we're trying to build up that partner ecosystem.
That's why I was asking that question, because I saw the announcement that you recruited a VP of partnerships. So I said, that sounds like they want to go even beyond North America and Europe. And I know, of course, as you said, that when you expand to Asia, you need some local traction. You need some local expertise.
Yeah, and in my type of commercial world, you always had this sort of 1/3 of your business should come from partners. That was always been the type of right across multiple industries. And I would like to get there with XTM, and we've got some great partners, but I think we can do more. So we hired Lorna Looney to look at strategic partners, type of non-LSP but strategic partners. SIs, agencies, technology partners, and then we've got Aoife Murphy looking at our LSP partner network, which
I've known Aoife for a long time.
When
she was at Vistatech. So
she was at Vistatech. She's been in the industry for a good while, and I think when you're working through the LSP partner ecosystem, you need that credibility.
Somebody with it,
but I think it's a real smart move because, as you said, your VP of partnerships is not just focused on the language industry. She can bring value with other types of partners that are not well known, maybe not well known in the language industry, but that are really well known in local markets. Like Japan, like Indonesia, like Korea. I forgot Korea, South Korea, not North Korea, but maybe one day, who knows? But for the moment, it's South Korea. But it's really good to have this sort of non-industry egocentric approach.
Yeah, and we're a very natural extension. If you look at, say, large SIs who do big CMS implementations, whether it's on Adobe or Sitecore or Optimizely, it's a very natural extension to bolt on an XTM and do all the localization as well. So I think we can play in that world.
That space.
Yeah. So I think that's the angle we're taking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, that's wonderful. I want to say a big thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. That was very interesting.
Yeah, likewise.
Definitely.
Yes.